Hey there, this is Jen T. Grace, founder and CEO of Publish Your Purpose, and I am here for another book launch interview. And today I am sitting with Sophia Dumansky of Maidan United. How are you doing today, Sophia?
I'm doing great. I am here in a lovely Florida today.
Nice. You're sitting in a lovely hotel room as we have this conversation.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I'm just going to show up the visual of the book first. So you are part of the organization that was behind this book, which is called We Are Ukraine. So I would love to actually start if we can talk about who Maidan United is, obviously who you are, who Maidan United is, and then we can get a little bit more into the book. So that way people have context for why the book came to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So Maidan United is a fully registered 501c3 out of Hartford, Connecticut. So we started it with my friends when the war broke off in Ukraine back in 2014. So we're a group of volunteers. It's all 100% volunteers. We have full-time jobs, and we do this as a passion to help our fellow Ukrainians and our family back home. We've created multiple strategic partnerships with other volunteer organizations in Ukraine. And what we do is we raise funds here. We buy medical supplies, and it's all hospital grade or military grade only, and we ship it to Ukraine. And we've now done it for almost 10 years. I always joke that it's what keeps me sane with everything that's going on over there, knowing that we can help. And we've been able to help quite a bit. So it's been extremely rewarding. So first shout out to all of our supporters and donors for your
Yeah.
support.
Absolutely. So it was founded in 2014 and now here we are in 2023, end of 2023. And so what we have done is, and I want to have you speak to the book. However, just make it known that this is a passion project collaboratively between the both of us, both Maidan United, both Publish Your Purpose. And so we are the ones who sponsored this book because just recognizing that there's a need for people to understand the really ground impact of what the war, like what the war really is doing specifically to children. So do you want to kind of speak to, like a little bit about kind of the format of the book, what we ask the children, et cetera, and we can kind of keep going from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, I want to thank you for sponsoring the book, because prior to Publish Your Purpose, we had no idea how to even do that, right? So the idea came in. It's really, really great. I think in a time of war, we see the images, we see the impact. I don't want to say that we forget about the kids. I think what we forget is that there are also little humans that fully understand everything that goes on in the war, but don't always get the ability to express what they're feeling, what they're seeing, and especially through art. Art is therapeutical for many of us, and especially children. So through art, they were able to express themselves. So what we did is we connected and we started with our volunteers that we do a lot of work through, and asked them to go out and ask children two questions, right? What does the war mean to you, and what does Ukrainian culture mean to you? And got such great response to it. One of them was actually with a director of an art studio, where she focuses and teaches children how to draw art. And when we've asked her to see if her kids would be involved, and they absolutely loved the idea. The book is a great representation of what these children are feeling and seeing, their passion and love for Ukraine. Some of the paintings show their heart. Jen, thank you so much for holding. So Jen is holding one of my favorite paintings of a woman holding a child. When you originally look at it, you think of a mother and a child, but the meaning is a lot more deeper than that. As you see, there's fire all over in the background of this woman. She is holding a child. So the woman is actually Ukraine. and holding and protecting the child, which is all of the people of Ukraine, uh, putting that warmth of Ukraine around to protect the child, or all the adults as well, right? So the child is the representative of all the Ukrainians. She is wearing Ukrainian outfit. She has the flowers, which is very traditionally part of our Ukrainian culture. So I love that feeling. The second painting that Jen is kind of holding is a child just hugging a dog. Um, as we know, dogs become children's best friends, and they're just holding on to the dog as a safety blanket as the plane is flying over their heads and potentially destroying everything that they have. And some of these kids absolutely lost everything that they have. So this is just a sample of two paintings that are on the inside. When these paintings were coming in, we did not want to in any way censor or not put any of the paintings that came in. We wanted to have whatever came in got published. I guess that's the big thing. So as you purchase the book and see it, you'll see the massive diversity of what kids are feeling and how they're expressing their love for Ukraine and their parents,
Mhm.
but also a lot of hurt and pain that was in those paintings. So
Mhm.
again, Jen, thank you so much for
Of course.
giving us the opportunity to help and get these kids to express themselves
Yeah.
on more of a global way as well.
And what I'll pull up, I'll show two other paintings just to show the range, because you were talking about the art school and having that connection and
Yeah.
having, some really, really incredible art by young people. But then there's also, your average children's artwork kind of in here
Mhm.
as well. And so to your point, there was no censorship in how this was done. And so we wanted to make sure that, like you said, whatever was submitted to you and then to us through you, we wanted to make sure that everyone, their individual vantage points were respected and shown within the context of this book.
Yeah, there's a lot of deep meanings to it. A
Yeah.
lot of and to me it was honestly some of the paintings that came in, you look at the age
Mhm.
of some of these children, and it's just that I'm tearing up already as we speak. Just what they're feeling is so emotional.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like this definitely, there was lots of tears across a lot of people in the production of this book, because it really is heartbreaking to see, because it is children as young as 4 and as old as 17 who are just really putting their heart and soul into expressing to humanity, what's actually happening to them. Because again, I think, there's the what the news shows and what the news doesn't show, and then I feel like children are completely omitted from the conversation. And so I think it was also powerful to kind of have a balance of what does the war mean to you, like you said, but also like what does Ukrainian culture and heritage look like to you too. So that way it's not just all darkness. There are some in there that are, portraying, how children see Ukraine and what that means to them. And so thankfully it's not just all darkness, but there is some heavy imagery in here. um and it's comes in both hardcover and it's in paperback, and 100% of the proceeds go directly to Maidan United. So this is not, as you were saying before, you are an all volunteer run organization. There's no board member who's taking a salary or anything like that. Everything goes back to, purchasing medical supplies to be sent to Ukraine.
That's correct. I also want to, and I don't know if any of our volunteers in Ukraine will hear this, but I definitely want to give them a big thank you for everything that they have done as well. I've
Mhm.
never known how long the process is of publishing a book, but I sit here and we sit in United States, and as the paintings come in, we submit to a publisher. It wasn't that difficult of a job. However, our volunteers drove all around Ukraine to collect these pieces. And some of the art came from really, really torn areas of Ukraine. And so it took a long, long time to get some of it. Right. So you'll get the story, but not the name. And then we're waiting for the name to come in. And our volunteers just they risked their lives to bring
Mhm.
some of this art to us. So now we can just take a look at it and help them to continue their fight against this horrible evil.
Mhm. Do you wanna speak to the fact that there are a dozen photos included, or a dozen pieces of art that are included that are from children, that are in orphanages?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so the orphanage is for the children that lost pretty much everybody in their household because of this war. And I think that's where the heartbreak comes in the most, because we didn't get their names. Of course, we didn't know who their parents are because they're no longer here. Um, there's a backside of the book that shows all of their art, and you could still see their passion for the country in their art, and you can see their pain
Mhm.
of what the war has done and how it took everything from them.
Mhm. Yeah. And so going back to kind of just the profits from the book. So as I said, everything goes directly to Maidan. And so the book is available, whether it's Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Bookshop, anywhere you want to purchase a book, you can purchase a book. You can also, if someone wants to reach out to PYP and purchase a book that goes directly through you, I can certainly provide the PayPal link so that way they can get it that way, because it's basically a donation. And so if you use the PayPal charitable, it's the PayPal Giving Fund. And so Maidan United is a registered nonprofit through that. So that means if you make a donation, PayPal will double that donation. And so, for what would, for a $50 book, you'll actually, the nonprofit will be making $100. So it's definitely advantageous to kind of go through you, but they can certainly kind of reach out to PYP and for us to kind of organize that. But I want to kind of just share, because the amount of impact that Maidan United has had just in the last year and a half, over a year and a half, as the escalation of the war began in the beginning of in February of 2022, I have personally seen just the amount of impact that has been created. But you had so much impact long before that. So can you just kind of talk about, like, maybe it's the X-ray machines, the ambulances? There's just so much amazingness that when you buy this book, like, this is what that money is going toward.
Correct. So yeah, so our goal is to hit 1 million by the time the second anniversary hits, and we are this
Mhm,
close to doing that. Again, just to really focus, everything we do is military grade. So we bought thousands of tourniquets in the last almost 10 years. A tourniquet can save a human life. I remember one of our doctors that we help in the front lines explained a little bit of what it really does. So, from the moment that you are hurt or shot, there's a specific period of time that you're completely bleeding out. And if they cannot get you in time to the hospital, your chances of survival are pretty much non existent. So, this tourniquet is a really life-saving device, and because of it, the percentage of life that's being saved from the beginning of the escalation to now has almost increased at 50%, just because they have this tourniquet. Because we're a nonprofit, we're able to purchase these tourniquets much cheaper and a higher grade. So we always say $20 saves a life, and it
mhm,
really, really does. So if you can't give us huge donations like some of the organizations have been able to,
mhm,
$20, you're saving somebody's life. But we've bought many things. Israeli bandages are huge, chest seals, burnt kits. We purchased ambulances. We are working on getting more ambulances, more cars to them so they can bring the fighters out of the war zone, so the medical people can save their lives. We also work with hospitals. I honestly, the last time I saw the statistic, there was over 1,000 completely destroyed hospitals in Ukraine. So they need absolutely everything to rebuild and be able to help. I think one of our biggest uh, projects that we've done were the X-ray machines.
mhm,
And what the X-ray machines are, they're mobile X-ray machines. So if you think, if you've ever had an experience of being hurt, you're coming into the hospital and they say, hey, we need to go get an x-ray. And so you're walked to the x-ray machine, or you're rolled into the x-ray machine, because usually it's this one ginormous machine that sits and you're being put into it. Well, a lot of these individuals that are so hurt, any movement can really take their life away. And what the mobile x-ray machine allows is for you to stay where you are, and they would bring the machine to the hurt individual. And we got an email from the X-Rover company, and they said that the amount of pictures that these x-ray machines have taken is uh, equivalent of 10 years. So like 1 month in Ukraine is almost an equivalent of 10 years here. And grateful for them, they've replaced some of the heads because they're being so used and overused.
Wow.
And we are so proud to be able to purchase 2 of these machines. And our goal is to get another one out to them so they can be able to continuously save lives.
Yeah.
The ambulances were huge projects for us. We have private foundations that sponsored them, so that was fantastic. Through the hospitals, Connecticut Children's Hospitals, Middlesex Hospital, Bristol Hospital has given us some of the items that were specifically being requested from the hospitals in Ukraine. It's just such a rewarding experience to be able to connect with such huge organizations, but also with our smaller supporters. You know, we've had doctor offices go through their inventory and say, hey, would they need this? We can get you that. I never knew that epinephrine is so expensive.
Yeah.
And for our supporters to go through their items and just hand it over. We had a surgical center in Connecticut that helped us shipped almost a whole pallet just from them. Thank you for everybody who's been supporting us, and it's just really rewarding to be the connector that connects people to. I always say each person does a little bit. Together we can do a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, you know, what's been interesting to kind of observe over, again, the last year and a half, almost 2 years, is just it is the power of one person, because it is, you know, there's a whole kind of like a assembly line that has to occur where a doctor's office does make a donation, but then someone has to go pick up that donation, and then they have to bring it to a warehouse. And then from the warehouse, it's a bunch of people getting together and like unpacking boxes, packing boxes, labeling things, organizing things. And so it's not just a, you know, like, and it's, when we think about nonprofits, I think a lot of times people are thinking about these big nonprofits that have this large, incredible overhead. And like you said, Maidan is like inches from the finish line of hitting $1 million in a year, which is all like primarily like all of these little individual contributions, because there are so many volunteers who are out at festivals or at events and, you know, doing fundraisers. And now we can add the book into the mix. And so there's all of these different ways in which all of this money is being raised. And I find it just incredibly fascinating to kind of witness that it is just a bunch of volunteers on the ground in Connecticut doing a lot of things, and then a bunch of volunteers in Ukraine also doing a lot of things. And so
in Poland,
yeah, oh yeah, Poland.
let's
Yeah.
not forget about Poland.
Yeah.
And you're right, just like the logistics side of it all, right? From an individual making a decision to either donate a medical item, or an individual deciding to make a donation, to then the step-by-step process of packing, shipping, getting together. Then that gets picked up. Then it goes on a plane. It lands in Poland. In Poland, it gets picked up by volunteers there. Then drive it to Ukraine. And in Ukraine, they unassemble everything and start distributing it, and they drive it to all of these hospitals, to all of the military battalions, as they call them, right? To then be able to save somebody's life.
Yeah, it's wild, and it just even seeing the evolution of how things are getting there, because, like, at the very beginning, it was putting having people who are traveling to Poland with suitcases full of tourniquets and then
Mhm.
getting those across the line. So, like, now versus being able to actually put things on a cargo ship and then having things, eventually get there, or by air. But, it's been just a really interesting to kind of watch how everything's been unfolding, and to see that every penny literally does go back to purchasing something that is directly saving people's lives. It's just a really a rewarding kind of experience to kind of witness. And I want to ask you about your events and things, because there are, especially in Connecticut. So for anyone who is watching beyond the borders of Connecticut, please by all means make a donation. But in Connecticut, you and I have done tabling and fundraisers and all kinds of things together. But there's also, last July there was an art show that brought together a community of artists that raised money. But there's another art show that's coming up on November 12th in West Hartford, in Connecticut. So can you talk about that art show? Because I think that it just the where the art has come from is incredible in and of itself. So
Yeah.
can you speak to that?
Absolutely. So our volunteer from the city of Zhytomyr, there's a military hospital there that we have worked over the years with. Um, there's an art studio very close by to the military hospital. And the art studio was opened, I believe, 8 years ago now, as the ability for the veterans to come in and express themselves in a form of art. And it is different. Some of them are drawing, there's woodwork that happens, there's ceramic. Um, all the art is done by the veterans. So the volunteer has organized for these veterans to express themselves in a form of art, and then shipped it all to us here in Connecticut. We have about 80 pieces, and some are more coming, in the hopes that we can sell it, all right, or have people donate money as they're purchasing this art, so we can then buy medical supplies. One of the big asks for them was to get more cars for them, and purchase it, raise funds here, purchase the vehicles there, purchase other medical supplies, and keep helping them.
Mhm.
So the art show is happening. The art is incredible. Some of it is not, right? So it's kind of like we have to understand that it is veterans, and some of them have been there for a while, and you can see how incredible the art is. In some of it, you could see that they're still learning to express themselves, but it's all done
Mhm.
with passion that somebody here will say, wow, let me support so we can keep helping
Yeah.
and keep helping others. The
Mhm.
sad part is we've heard that some of the veterans that have drawn this art had to go back to the front lines. And unfortunately, some of them are no longer here with us.
Mhm.
The war does take a lot of lives. So it's just more of an importance for us to keep moving, to keep helping, to save as much as, or save one life at a time, or at least as much as we can.
Mhm.
The event is going to be held at 635 Warehouse. We are so forever grateful for Camille, the owner, to donate the space to us.
Yeah.
So we have the space donated, the art is donated.
Mhm.
We have sponsors that are sponsoring food. We will have wine. We have musicians sponsoring and donating their time. So everybody that can come and support, it is truly that unification that everything that we do and every dollar that you donate will go to help somebody.
Yeah.
Just so grateful to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And yeah, some of the art is incredible. I have purchased art already. I know you've purchased things already. So I feel like that is the benefit of being a volunteer, is that we get first access to things. But so it's on Sunday, November 12th, correct? What time does it start?
It starts at 12 p.m. and we will finish it at 7.
Perfect.
So from 12 to 7, 635 Warehouse in West Hartford, Connecticut.
Beautiful. And
Come
I
meet
will
us, right? Like,
please.
come meet the team.
Yep, I will be
Everybody
there with
has their own
books.
story.
So, yes, I will be there as well. And so before we kind of wrap up, I want to just give you a second to kind of share more about yourself because I feel like so often you're out talking about all the incredible work that Maidan United is doing. And yet, as a volunteer, all of you are volunteers and all of you have businesses and careers and professions, and no one really gets recognition for what they're out there doing in the world as a professional because all the focus is on this incredible work from Maidan. So do you want to just take a couple minutes to kind of share what you do in the world?
Yeah, sure. So I own a financial planning firm in Windsor, Connecticut, where we help people focus on that end, right? What do I want to happen when I'm no longer here?
Mhm.
And what is your legacy? As well as creating sound financial strategies to achieve your goals and be able to retire the
Yeah.
way you'd like to retire. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that.
Mm.
I think because we do so much with Maidan, sometimes people have the perception that we are the employees of Maidan, and
Mhm.
that is not the case at all.
Yeah.
Maidan is fully, none of us get paid. We all do this because we really want to help people. And
Mhm.
a lot of us are attorneys, doctors. We have medical team on our team,
Mhm.
and I think we're about 40 volunteers just here in Connecticut
Mhm.
that endlessly give their time and energy
Yeah.
to help those in Ukraine. I did also wanted to mention that if another thing that we did with the books, there's about 500 of them coming straight from Ukraine.
Yeah.
So if you want an OG, right, original book that was printed,
Good.
published by Publish Your Purpose, and then is getting printed in Ukraine, we will have those available shortly as well.
I can't wait for those because I need an OG of something coming from Ukraine. So I'm excited about those as well. Not to say our American made ones are not fantastic because they're
No, they're
beautiful
great.
and they look
They're
incredible.
great.
But I think it just makes it even more meaningful. So I look forward to when orders are coming in and we are shipping out books to folks across the country and potentially the world, and they came from Ukraine. I think that just adds just such an extra kind of exclamation point to this project.
I agree. I agree.
Mm.
Thank you again so much.
Yeah, thank you for your time today. And so, for everybody, again, the book is available wherever books are sold. Additionally, if you want to go to Maidan United, you can make a donation directly through them. And if you want to buy a book with that donation, you can kind of just let us know, and I will help kind of facilitate that transaction. The art show is November 12th from 12 to 7 in West Hartford, Connecticut. So please join us then as well. And thank you again, Sophia. I appreciate it. And I'm just so happy that we get to partner on this book because it's just one of those things that just is really meaningful and feels good as a company to be able to do for a nonprofit. So I appreciate that.
We are very, very grateful for that, Jed. And now we could say we're all little